All right, going live in three, two, one. Oh, this is Olivia On Air, episode number 38. And this evening we have Olivia on again. How are you doing this evening, Olivia?
A little sick, but other than that, I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. So, anything you'd like to share, or as far as how you're going through, or with our viewers?
Just finals are already upon us as a student group of students. Um, I have and a lot of tests. For some reason, it's like tests and finals for two of my classes. No, three of them. My math class, I have a test this week and a final next week. And then for my one of my media message classes, I have like two tests coming up and a final project. And then for comedic lens, I think I have one big test because he forgot to give us uh, a test a little while ago. So, and
What is
then
what is
also a final paper.
what is comedic lens? I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, it's a class. It's like a higher elective class. And it's really just a comedy class. It's pretty fun.
Okay. So, is it like an acting class of sorts, or?
No, we're kind of just learning about like there's a book about Sadita's 8 characters of comedy, and we're learning about different styles of comedy and comedy through time and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's it's because comedy is so subjective. I'm curious how they would how they would cover such a wide range of that. The how far back? I'm sorry. Can you explain that one more time. How far back does it go again?
What do you mean? Like in history? It's not very well documented because nobody took it seriously for such a long time. But Plato and Aristotle both had, I think it was them, both had um, little in their like writings. They both had things to say about comedy. I kind of forget because that test is already passed. But that was like in the beginning of the class. We learned about that kind of stuff. It was pretty cool. Um, it it goes back a long time to when jesters would travel from medieval city and make jokes about the king and the government and all that stuff. And even though comedy is subjective, that kind of comedy where you're making fun of like a company or the government is always pretty, like that's always been something that people joked about. um so yeah, that
Okay,
kind of, it's really interesting.
that's cool. So the no, is that a class? Is that I don't know if you said this. Was this an elective or is this a required course for what you're doing? Or
It's a higher elective. I think you need like 3 or 4 regular electives and then one higher elective to graduate, or maybe 2 higher electives. I don't know what the difference really. I mean, I think higher elective is more niche class. Like the comedic lens class is kind of more niche, whereas a regular elective would be like drawing one, you know?
hmm well, that sounds interesting. You said this is relatively new, right? As far as doing this kind of a class, is that right? Is that what you were saying before?
Um,
Or
I think it's just lesser known and not as many people take this kind of class, just because it's not um, it's not open to a very broad audience, I feel, or maybe not many students know about it.
oh, and as so okay, so as far as so are there very few students in the actual class?
I'm not sure. It's a Zoom class. I think
Ah,
there are at least 15.
oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's that does sound interesting. I when I was teaching classes myself, when you say when there how many people were in it, I would often get about 20 at the beginning of the semester, and the ones that by the time unless it was like an intro class of some sort, by the end of the class itself, it would often dwindle down to less than half of that. So we get like because people realized that wasn't really what they wanted to take. So I'm just I since you said you weren't really sure exactly how many people were in there. I was just wondering if it was something like that where people were like go in there like, oh, this is interesting, and then halfway through the semester be like, oh, I don't really want this, and they just walk out. So
I don't think so. My math class is like that though. Um, and my art class is like that. A few people, I think maybe like 4 people have dropped my art class, which is a lot because our class wasn't very big to begin with.
the before we go too far, I wanted to say two things. We got a couple of people saying, "Well, we got a couple, don't know the names. Give us some hearts." Then we got another comment from Joe Na saying, "Your mic is broken. I think. Do I sound okay? I can tell Olivia you sound fine. Do I sound okay?
I think you sound fine.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
hearing anything too different.
So everything's good on our end. So sorry about that, Joe. If you hear anything else, let us know. We can come back to that. But also, if you'd like to, anyone would like to support what we're doing here, there's an affiliate link for NordVPN in the description below. And the last time I looked, it was getting approximately 200 or so clicks per week, which is not too bad, but not as many people purchasing. But there's definitely people who are striking interest in what the product itself. I can say that it works pretty well. I've used it. It will protect your identity. You can hide your location, and other things can be done, such as several people have stated, you can watch and stream TV shows and movies from different parts of the world that would normally be blocked from where you're located. And I do believe last time I looked, there was about a 70% discount on the link that's in there. So if you'd like to do that, purchase that would help support what we're doing, and we really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, unless there's anything else you'd like to add about what's going on, we can jump to our question from our last show. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we do that?
I don't think so.
Okay. And we asked our viewers last time, have you been to the opera? I believe that's the right one, correct?
Yes.
Here we go. Have you been to the opera? Whoops. Have you ever been to the opera? Excuse me. And if so, which one? So the answer is, wow, we've got 1,700 votes, and over 58%, or about 58%, excuse me, saying yes, they have been to the opera. And then the rest, both are no, but 29% with no, I'm not interested, and 13% with no, but I want to. That's kind of interesting. I didn't expect the number to be that high. How do you feel about it?
I was expecting it to be maybe like a little less yes and a little more no, I'm not interested. But
Exactly, that's how I felt. But now we got such a higher vote in there, 1,700 votes. That definitely, in my opinion, I don't know. It's not. It just definitely says something there. I should say, at least our viewers and the other people who participated in the vote on our poll, that is, seem to have a fine taste for the opera. I'm not sure how else to phrase that, but yeah. Let's take a look at our answers here. Team Rogers says opera is totally my passion, and it saves my life. It saved my life. Excuse me. That's interesting.
awesome.
I wonder how opera would save your life.
Sometimes music can make people feel a lot better about their lives in different ways. So maybe that.
Okay. Totally. Oh, excuse me. Random person said, "Oh, opera boring. AF AAF. I prefer Justin Bieber and what's it say?
Cardi B.
Oh, Cardi B. Excuse me. Thank you." I got another response. Don't know what it says. Sheila says, "Yeah, during the LCS mission." Okay, that's in case you're wondering, that's Liberty City Stories, which is a game for Grand Theft Auto. So I've not played that game, so I don't know. So, but that's interesting. Didn't know that was in there. Kane says no, but I wish I could go to the opera. Cool. His best friend says Tristan. Is that what it says? Tristan and I can't read that.
Isolde?
Okay. You know what that means?
No.
So
Maybe it's a certain opera, like a title of one.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So maybe, or maybe two, maybe one, maybe that's the title, or maybe there's two, like two different titles.
Yeah.
And last one says not really, but interested in it. Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. So I got a nice selection of answers there, and nobody gave us any. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Kiss Best Fan Dave. He gave us the which one, but no one else gave any other specifics. I can honestly say if I told you that when we asked this question, my sister is a singer, and I went to see her perform one time. But I don't know the name of what she did, so I don't know if I said this before. I could not say what the opera would be. I don't even know if that would be considered the opera because it was actually done at the school she was going to at the time, which was Virginia Tech, and it was more like a presentation that was done like not in an auditorium but in a special area, like in the it was done in like almost like an open area in the school. That wasn't the auditorium. It was just for people to gather and listen to people sing. So I don't know if that would be considered the opera either, but she was singing opera while I was there.
That sounds like it could be opera. I mean, I feel like if someone's singing opera, that's kind of the opera. Maybe not like in a tunnel or something, but you know.
So I don't know if you said anything, but have you ever seen the opera? And if what I guess to ask you the question, have you ever? Do you have? Could you name it if you have?
I have not. I'm not. I would go, um, if I knew, where one was.
Mm. The the around here in the DC area, I guess the best one of the best places would probably be the Kennedy Center. But since opera is not something I'm really interested in per se, I wouldn't know. So I could probably ask my sister if she doesn't do singing anymore, but she might know where that's going on.
That's true. I'd rather go to a ballet personally. Um, but yeah, either one. Love the arts.
Alrighty, well, thanks everybody for participating. Really appreciate it. Nice response too. 1,700 votes. That's getting up there. So lately, the votes have been like a little less than that. They're usually averaging around less than 1,000 or less. So this is getting close to double what we normally get on this one. So that's pretty nice.
It's impressive.
Alrighty, so we have a question for our viewers for this week. Would you like to read that while I go ahead and post it?
Yes. Would you ever renovate a home? The first answer could be I would renovate my own home. The next one would be I would renovate to sell after. And then I would make some small improvements, but nothing extensive. And then I wouldn't renovate a home.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask this just because um, in my Sims game, I've been building more recently, like building little houses in The Sims. And it's fun, and it just got me thinking. I don't think I don't think I would renovate a home. I think I would make small improvements to a home.
Okay. The so in the game though, but I described, is that the which version of the Sims? Is that Sims 4?
Yes.
And as far as what you've done, I mean, you've actually described that again. So I was just curious how that works.
Um, it's just like building homes in The Sims. You can design apartments too. That's a little more complicated though. Not like apartment buildings, but like single apartment rooms, if that makes sense. It's pretty fun. Um, it's the best build mode that The Sims has ever had. So I haven't played the previous Sims though.
I got you.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. You can put a pool in. You can do a lot of things. Not anything, but a lot of things.
And as far as what you've done, what to the I mean, how many homes? I mean, I don't know how the game works exactly. I know of the game, but how many homes could you actually have in the game? You have lots.
As many as you want. There are worlds. Um, it's kind of hard to explain. There are worlds with uh, pre-existing lots on them, and there are sometimes homes and sometimes it's an empty lot on there, and you can bulldoze a lot and create your own home from scratch, or you can play in the homes that come in The Sims. But notoriously, the homes that The Sims team builds are crap. and so a lot of times people like to replace them. They're getting better though because they're using more like pro sim gamers that like stream on YouTube and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. You can have a lot. You can make probably endless homes, just not in the world. In like
Yeah.
the worlds of The Sims, you there is a gallery you can save them to. It's kind of complicated to explain. Just a lot of homes. You can do anything.
There's a I just did a general search. I did Sims 4 homes, and it's just some of the.
Yeah, some. I mean, I'm not. I don't like to spend too much time on them, so they don't get too extensive. And I'm also really bad at roofing. I'm not the best at landscaping either. I really like decorating the inside of a house, though.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, there are a bunch of different styles you can play, and it all depends on what extension packs you have as well. Someone made the Hobbit
Oh,
homes. Yeah,
oh, okay, that's what that is. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you said that because I didn't know what that was. Okay.
it can get really cool, and there are a lot of mods you can use to um, change your home. There's like custom content you can download, but I previously had a bad experience with custom content. Hold on one second. I'm gonna cough. Sorry, I recently had a bad experience with custom content in The Sims and like mods because I couldn't save my game, and so it took like 3 weeks to fix it. It was really frustrating, but you can download custom content, which gives you different decorations for your house and different plants for the outside and stuff like that. It goes into like really, really deep detail, down to like the columns and drain pipes on the house.
The images that are shown here all look like homes that you'd have like a house, an actual house. I mean, these homes I would assume include apartments, maybe neighborhoods that are because these look like more uh, neighborhoods that were more upper class kind of homes. I mean, could you be in lower class areas as well, or how does that work?
Yes. Well, how do I explain this? When you play The Sims without cheating how much money your sim has, they all start with 20,000 simoleons, and a starter home is usually around 18,000, and so they don't look anything like these homes. They don't necessarily look bad, but they're not luxurious, and they don't have extra flourishes or anything like that, and they're usually quite small. Um, and you can also in apartments, um, there's this expansion pack called City Living, and that's the one that has the most apartments. And in those apartments, there are some lot traits, like apartment traits that your apartment can have, um, like needs TLC. So everything breaks all the time in that apartment, and so your sim needs to keep fixing it because it's like supposed to be so they live in a crappy apartment. And then there's also one like that some of them have rats and your apartment is gross, you know? And
Oh,
some of them are just like literally gross apartments. Some of them have quote unquote gremlins where things break more often there. It's really cool. There's a lot of different stuff you can do, a lot of creative space in that
and
in
as
the
far
Sims.
as I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. I'm just gonna say in the Sims.
As far as the like the how it's played, is it just single player, so you're just doing it with yourself, or is there like a online community that does this at the same time?
It's single player. I think they tried to release a multiplayer uh, in The Sims 3. I'm not sure it went over the best. I personally wouldn't want to play it multiplayer though.
Oh, okay. I was wondering how that would work because I wouldn't even since The Sims it's not really I mean it's not about winning, it's just experiencing things, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like making your own world. It's very much about, well, I think it combines creativity of making your own world and also escapism really well because you can make whatever kind of world you want.
Okay.
And you can be good or you can be evil or you can be somewhere in between. Um, so yeah.
The video game Grand Theft Auto 5, which came out 9 years ago, almost 9 years ago now. It is it has a kind of a real world feel to it where you can buy homes, but nowhere, I don't think nowhere as elaborate as what this is. But it does have an online aspect to it as well. So people will get together in the other people's homes when they're online. But there's, from what I've seen, now maybe some of our viewers can correct me on this, but all they do is just, because I don't play Theft Auto 5. I have it, but I just don't play it. They just get into the other people's homes and they just stand around because there's nothing to do when you're online. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure how it would work for The Sims either. I feel like both The Sims and Grand Theft Auto have really, from what I've seen of Grand Theft Auto anyway, they have really extensive worlds where I feel like not all of it is totally customizable in either game, but it's so extensive that it would be kind of hard for a computer to handle like having a world with so much dimension and also multiplayer. I don't know.
I get you, because you would, and also I guess since you build your own worlds, you'd have to share the building, I guess, if you had online with everyone else. So everyone,
Yeah,
so
I
you'd have
don't
to have.
think I would like that.
Oh yeah, I could see why that would be unappealing in some ways. So,
Yeah, and there are so many animations in The Sims as it is. I feel like the added aspect of interacting with other people live in the game would make everything really hard. I don't think my computer would be able to handle it because I mean, it, the animations go as detailed as like throwing darts or like getting in a hot tub or anything like that. It's like very, or if you have like a vampire expansion pack, the vampires like poof in and out of places and they suck people's blood and all this stuff. And I mean, and there's mermaids in the island living pack, and that would be another animation. I don't think my computer can barely handle The Sims 4 as I play it now. So I don't think it would be able to handle multiplayer.
that's funny. I didn't know they had supernatural or anything like that. I just thought it was all based in reality, well, more grounded in reality than that. I did, but that's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. They have a lot of like different occult. No, maybe not a lot. There are aliens. There are plant sims, which is not fully like a whole occult sim. It's just like a plant sim. They don't have any powers or anything, but they're just green and they have leaves on them. There are the mermaids, the vampires, and then they also have a Star Wars pack, but no one likes it.
Oh really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
it was a disappointment because the I don't have it, um, but from what I've seen, it's pretty disappointing. Just because it's the world, you can't build anything in it, and that's in all the Sims worlds other than that one, the Star Wars world, you can build stuff in them. And it's very niche. It's like if someone is a real super Star Wars fan, they would probably appreciate it, but for everyone else, it's like kind of useless.
I got you. I've watched people talk about Star Wars on videos, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So, and because they're so into it, and it's just not my thing. I'm not criticizing anybody or saying anything at all. I'm just, so I can relate to what you're saying. It's like I don't know what they're saying, what they're
Right.
talking about. So it would be like that, I guess, that kind of a situation.
Yeah.
So, alrighty,
Oh,
got
and
that.
then they also have like wizards. Sorry, I forgot. They have like wizards, witches, or warlocks or whatever. Um, so it's pretty cool.
There's warlocks. Oh, okay.
Realm of Magic. There it is.
Oh, magic. Okay. So I guess you would probably, I mean, maybe you've said this before, you would probably recommend this for our viewers. I'm sure a lot of our viewers probably play this already, since this is a gaming channel.
Yeah, I would. I if you like kind of the idea of creating your own world, I would definitely recommend it. It's always on sale during the holiday season, like around New Year's for $5. Literally $5. It's on sale during the New Year's season. That's when I got my first, that's when I got my Sims game. And the expansion packs and everything are on sale often, so you don't have to pay $40 for them. You can pay 20, which is what I do. So yeah, highly recommend it. It's really really fun, but it is addictive.
So the $5 is to lure you in, I assume, to get you to buy more.
And it works.
Yeah. Funny. So we got a comment here from Naruto. Naruto, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Zoom, what's good? Well, we're talking about The Sims right now, so that's what's going on. So we enjoy more right in there. So, okay, so let's get back to our question, and I'm making sure everything looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and post that. Does that look good for you?
Yes. Would you renovate a home?
Yeah, if I had the time and money to do so, I'd do that for sure. So I've been meaning to do some. I allowed in my house. I allowed a lot of stuff to like accumulate. Like I would like have old computers laying around and a bunch of old parts of things and boxes. So last year I went through this process of just throwing out as much as I possibly could, getting rid of all the stuff that'd been, and it's only because I was so busy. I didn't mean to let stuff stack up, but it's my house is much more clear. I would like to actually renovate it if I had the time to do so.
Cool. What would be like your dream renovation? Like for me, I feel like the dream thing for me would be a sunroom. I would want a sunroom.
Sunroom, like what is that? Like where the sun comes through the ceiling?
Yeah, like a room. My cousins have this room with that they built out of their old deck. It's not like too extensive or anything. They just have big windows and two sunlights. I wouldn't want anything too much like that. I would just want really big windows and a nice carpet so I could lay on it like a cat and soak up the sun.
Oh, okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah, that might be interesting. I never thought of that. I actually might if I, as long as it could withstand the weather, meaning if like a big snowstorm or something. I don't know how much glass could hold up the weight of the snow if it gets like 2 or 3 feet deep, because that can be pretty heavy at times. But yeah, that'd be kind of interesting.
That's true. Yeah, my cousin's one. They made it out of their old deck area, and they live in Connecticut, so it snowed a few days ago, I think, for them. And they just have, instead of like a glass ceiling, they have a regular roof, but just a couple like skylights and pretty nice big windows. Not too much window, but enough. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And to answer your question, I don't. I don't. That's a good question. What would I do to renovate? I guess maybe just setting it up so for a nice area, because my place right now is just basically for me and no one else. So if someone came into my house, they wouldn't have. I don't even have a place for them to sit. Really, I mean, it's some old chairs, but I'm getting ready to throw those out. But maybe just have a nice area, so like a living area, so family and friends could come over, and I don't know, maybe set up a game room of some sort, maybe like that. I can't think of anything too big or elaborate. So,
That would be cool, a game room.
Yeah.
That would definitely be cool. A lot of people do that now with like a guest room or what's supposed to be an office space. They just deck it out as a game room. It looks cool.
Let's see. I'm curious what other people's game rooms would look like. Oh, there you go. Yeah, like a pool table. I know my dad is a big pool fan, so if I brought a pool table in, he'd be like all over that. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, I can see something like this. So, like, I don't know about all the colorful lights though. But it'd be interesting. I would probably just. But these rooms do look like what I might have in there in some way or shape or form. Alrighty. Well, we'll come back to that later. I'll close this off. So there we go. So I can move some things around here. So the movie that we're reviewing this evening is An American in Paris from 1951. I think this is the oldest movie ever on any of the shows we've ever done on this channel, which is interesting. And
Cool.
have you ever, before we reviewed this, that is, had you ever seen it before?
No. Have you?
And I had not seen it before, and when you suggested this, I looked it up and I saw Gene Kelly, and I was like, "Oh, Gene Kelly! He's one of my." I wouldn't. I would say my favorite Gene Kelly movie is a movie. I've said this before. Was is the movie Xanadu, but he was. I would say he's not really the main character of the movie. That would be Olivia Newton-John, and basically, he's much older in that movie. I say probably, I think he's about late 60s or so, and it was interesting to see him in this movie where he's actually much younger looking. So in the other movie, I'm used to seeing him in the other movie because he's much older. It's kind of, and I do like him in the other movie, so I've grown to appreciate his dancing and everything. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, cool, Gene Kelly. So that would be something I really like. Other than that, though, I did not see anything that was immediately appealing to it. It's just like an interest because he was in there. That would definitely be something I want to watch. And I will say, without giving too much away as we go, I'll give my rating at the end. But I'll say it was definitely something interesting to watch with that because of that reason. So as far as your interpretation of the movie, how would you? Well, I guess we could give a synopsis of the movie first. Would you like to do that?
Yeah. Um. Okay. There we go. I was just looking at like movie facts. Um. And facts about these people. It's interesting. Apparently, sorry, I'm just going off on a tangent a little. Apparently, this actor called Chris Evans is is talking about playing Gene Kelly in a like biopic,
Okay.
but Hugh Jackman wants to as well. Interesting. This is just interesting to me.
Okay.
I love biopics.
Have you ever seen anything now? Since we're talking about Gene Kelly, have you seen anything else with him in it?
I don't think so. Um, Let me see. I don't. I really don't. I think that this is the first movie that I've seen him in. It was very impressive. But I will say this: in like fifth grade, my school had this Glee style production where they would mash up songs and have us perform them as little fifth graders. And the one that my class did was Singing in the Rain slash Under My Umbrella by Rihanna. The two were like combined. And that was pretty fun. And it was the first time I ever got to wear red lipstick. So
Oh. So, and it was that was I know your brain was that a I know I see the movie with Gene Kelly. I'm looking at my little list of here things off screen. I see that that was one of his movies. Was that based on the movie, the song that you sang?
I'm not sure. I was pretty confused. I think we all were pretty confused as to what was going on. I think it was more for like the teachers to be able to organize it for us, because none of us, and rightfully so, none of us had watched the show Glee. The show Glee. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it, it was certainly dramatic and for adults. But it was also like a musical show where they would mash up songs like the Singing in the Rain and Rihanna's Umbrella, and they would usually be like traditional musical songs mashed up with pop songs, and they would sing it and dance and all that stuff. And so that's what the musical was based off of. So most of us kids didn't really know what was going on.
Hmm. Okay. And and to answer your question, yes, I do know what I have seen Glee, but not. I've never watched an episode. I've seen like I know basically what it's like a singing show of some sort, right? Is that correct? And
Hmm?
the focus is on singing. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So those who are familiar with it, I'm sure there are, but our viewers would be familiar with it. As far as the what was I gonna say? As far as what it is, yeah. So basically, ba- students getting ready to sing. I guess in general, is that what they do? Just perform at every show? Is that how it works?
It's
Every
very like high school drama and also musical. And kind of funny, but well, very funny, but also like you feel bad for laughing because usually something bad is happening. It's very like I don't know how to. It's weird.
Okay.
You can just say weird. It's weird.
Is Glee still on? Is that a regular thing at this point?
No. I'm not sure when it ended, but I know that a few of the main characters passed. So, like
Okay.
unexpectedly.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So, all right. Well, getting back to our movie, basically, Gene Kelly is the main character, a main actor, playing the main character. Excuse me. I forget his character's name. Jerry Mulligan is the character he plays. He's my little cheat sheet, so to speak, off screen here. And we were introduced to him, and he says he has a few friends. He was a soldier in World War II, which this movie, if you look it up, came out in 51, so that was 6 years after the war had ended. So that would be very fresh, obviously, in a lot of people's minds. So, and he said when he was discharged from the service, he decided to stay. So he's been living there ever since. And it
I
talks about
loved the intro. I love the way they did it and the colors.
which part here? What are you talking about?
The whole intro was fun. I liked the way that they went into it, and he was talking and he introduced his own self and he was like his own narrator. And then I loved the way that he danced around his apartment, and well, it wasn't really dancing, but it was, I don't know, it was kind of like the implication of dance around his apartment, and pulled up his bed in the little rig he had. I think that was so cool.
Yeah, yeah. And trying to emphasize how he's a poor artist, I guess you could say. So,
Yeah.
because the place he lives in, which is right there. In fact, the way his place looks, that kind of looks like the way I live. So, so the except I don't have a bed that goes up into the ceiling like that, which is kind of
That would be
interesting.
really cool though. That's smart too. Like if you don't have a lot of space to rig it up so that it folds up into your ceiling.
Hmm. And it's kind of like those beds, like you see in old TV shows where it goes up into the wall somehow, like it goes up.
Yeah.
So,
In The Sims they have those. And sometimes they can kill people. It's very rare, but they have a lot of different ways to die in The Sims. This is a tangent, I'm sorry. But it's so funny because they have different ways to die in The Sims. And oh, what is it? I forget what that kind of bed is called. It has a specific name.
hold away,
Bed
maybe.
that
I don't know.
Murphy bed, right? Is that what it's called?
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. I never heard that one. Okay,
Murphy bed.
let's see.
I think so. Yes. In the Murphy bed, it folds up. They have a few in this it's it's a stuff it's called a stuff pack. They have different like levels of packs. And so basically your sim can get in there to go to sleep, and it's pretty rare. It doesn't happen often, but there is a chance that the bed will snap up on your sim and it'll kill it.
Oh, so when
And
it
it's
dies, does your sim just is it permanently gone at that point? How does that work?
there are a few ways to bring a sim back to life. I think there are two, or maybe more. I'm not sure. There are two that I'm aware of. You can brew an ambrosia, but that's kind of hard, and you need another sim to do that. But for the most part, oh, also when the Grim Reaper comes, because there's also a Grim Reaper in The Sims, and he comes and he has a tablet, and he like types in your Sim's name on the tablet and stuff like that, to record the death, and someone else from your Sim's household can beg the Grim Reaper to let your Sim stay. And it depends on what mood the Grim Reaper's in and what mood you're in and all that stuff. And the Grim Reaper could bring your Sim back to life and could be forgiving, but he could say, "No, I don't want to." And then after your Sim passes, they have a ghost. So the ghost can roam around. It kind of depends on where you put their grave. Um, but sometimes if you have a spooky lot, sometimes ghosts just show up at your house. And they can, possess items like countertops and toilets, and they can break things.
Oh,
It's so fun. I love The Sims. It's
oh,
so
so
extensive, the details.
ghost possessing a toilet. That's odd.
It's
Never thought.
fun, and it adds a level of completely unrealistic gameplay, unless you're living in a haunted house. Maybe then it's realistic. But they can, if they possess the toilet, then usually the toilet breaks, and then you have to replace it or fix it. Anyway.
Okay. So
Um,
that is quite interesting. Yeah. So, all right. So getting back to our movie, we're introduced to his friends. This guy, the piano player. I forget what his name is off the top of my head. Let me bring my list out.
Adam, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Adam Cook. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he introduces the other friend. Like, but the other wasn't there a third? Yeah, this guy right here. He introduces him as a friend, but he hasn't actually met him yet, which is kind of strange, wasn't it? Didn't he say this
Wait,
is
what do you mean?
the guy on the right here? The guy on the right is this
Yeah.
I forget how to pronounce it, but it looks
Oh,
like
you're
Henry.
right.
He introduced him as a friend, but like he hadn't actually met him yet, so it was kind of odd.
Maybe, maybe he had met, maybe he was narrating this whole thing by the end of the events that transpired in the movie, and so he knew him as a friend while he was narrating, but not in the moment that he was narrating.
Gotcha. Okay, well that makes sense. So
Maybe.
and
This
so
was so cool. I'm sorry. This was so cool. I love the art. I love her dancing in different colored backgrounds and all that stuff in her different. It's so cool.
no, this is the so Henry. I'll say Henry because I forget how to pronounce it. I think it was pronounced differently. But I was calling him Henry. But do you remember how it was pronounced?
I think in like in a French accent. I'm sorry if I butcher it. I think it's Henri or Henri, and they
Okay.
don't say the H, and they say it completely differently. Actually,
Okay. So this is the love interest you could say for the movie. Her name was Lisa or Lise. What was it? I can't remember what it was.
peace.
Lise, excuse me. So and she does all the like you said all these different dance moves, and she's introduce her, and she's basically the fiance, I guess you could say, of Henry. And but how do you feel now? Of course, I looked these ages up. Now she's like on average about 20 years younger than both of these guys. So
Weird, but you know what? It's the 50s or something. And so I guess it's not too different because they also, in one of the scenes, um, I think it was Adam that asked Jerry, the main character, if she had a dowry. And so at that time, it sounds like they were still pretty loose with like ages and dating and stuff like that.
the difference though is differences in ages. I think we discussed this when there people are older. So if you have like someone who's you said 20 years, let's say someone who's like 70 and someone who's 50, that wouldn't be too bad, right? But
Right.
but she was only supposed to be like 19. So and they're on average about in there close to 40 on this. So that's a little different there, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And the Henry guy, he had like saved her and took her in when she said that he did that like 5 years ago, and so she was 14
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
he
I know.
started, I don't know, started being around her, and that's, I mean, like, that's just gross. That's just gross.
Yeah. So yeah, the story was he helped them he helped her or her family or both during the war, right? Was that what he said something to that
Yeah.
effect? Yeah, okay. So, so
It's interesting. I thought that during the whole movie we never like got to know her. We kind of got to know both of them, but I don't even know what she's passionate about. And it feels like neither of them. I feel like this movie was one of those that was more about the art of the musical aspect and the choreography of the dances than the connections between the people, because it didn't really feel like any of these guys were friends really. Like it that they that I didn't feel like they had known each other very well or anything like that. And also, it didn't feel like either of them knew Lise very well because she never talked about anything or
right.
it talked at all. She was just kind of a prop. It felt like she was a prop, really, for them to just be in love with.
Hmm. And but Henry was not really in love with her though. It didn't seem like
Right.
so. and she was not really in love with him. So, and
Yeah, I feel like there was no passion between any of them. But the dances were awesome and the art of it was so cool and I love the outfits. I love the what are they called? Costumes. I love the costumes. They're so bright.
mhm. And of course this was filmed. This is a 1951, and I wanted to point out a lot of the scenes are done like a play. A lot of times when you watch these older movies, so you won't see the camera switch that often. Whereas when I'm not an expert on video or TV, but I was remember being taught when I did some public access television that you don't want to keep the camera on once without rotating it. On average, you want to give it like change it every 6 seconds. Otherwise, you lose the audiences. It's a psychological thing. People become uninterested, but the camera will stay on. They don't switch it very often at all. They do, but not as often as that. So it comes across more like a play in some ways. So,
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
yeah, it's not like I'm not criticizing. I'm just pointing out the style for the time. So, and and the so we find out he's, I guess, a starving artist because he doesn't have any money. So he's going around. Now he was giving this guy. He gave that one guy the painting when he went by him. Uh, then he sets up his own. Now this woman on the right here, I was trying to figure out. She looks like I could be wrong. She looked like she had played Lois Lane in in the TV series Superman during the 1950s. I think that's her. There were two women that played Lois Lane. She might have been one of those two women. I'm not sure, but she seemed her voice and her face looked very familiar. I couldn't remember her name, so I looked it up. I just couldn't remember if that was her or not. So,
Cool.
but
Oh yeah. Okay. I found it on Google. Her title in the cast list was just American Girl. Her name is Noelle Neal, and it has The Adventures of Superman, Superman, Atom Man versus Superman. It's just like a bunch of different Superman ones listed as her movie credits. And Superman Returns from 2006. I
yeah,
wonder who she played in that.
I think she had some. Yeah, and she also was in 2000, the 1978 Superman. Was that listed there too?
Um, I think so.
Okay.
There are a lot.
Okay. But yeah, I did, like I said, I recognized her. So when I saw her, I was like, oh, so she's that. Then I realized afterwards that this was before Superman came out, so she probably wasn't as well known at the time. So from when I'm watching this, I'm thinking she's going to be the main character, and nope, she's just a tiny little role, and she's gone. We never see her again. So, but
I thought she was going to be the main character too, like the main American love interest.
right. And the funny part is he just brushes her off like it's nothing. Get out of here, basically. So, and he calls her a third. What does he call her? I forget what he called her.
A third year?
Third year. Thank you. I guess it was, yeah, because they're spending her third year in college, and she's just touring Europe, and she's not really serious or something to that effect.
He said that she makes observations that she overheard from like other people or something like that. Like basically she's just spouting off things she learned in art history or something. I do
Okay.
that sometimes.
So how did you feel about his artwork? They don't really you can't really see. They don't really show it close up that I remember.
I mean, I think it's what I've seen before. It's better than what I can do with like realism. I'm more of an abstract artist myself. But and like landscape is something really hard because for some reason I can't do a tree. I can't do a tree very well at all. But yeah, the perspective looks pretty uniform from what I can see. The colors are nice. I like the texture that the paint seems to give on the canvas, so it's cool.
And so this is we're introduced to her name is Milo. Was it Milo? Is how you pronounce it? Milo Roberts? I forgot her name.
Yes.
Okay. So she's very rich. You can see her car at the very top of the screen, a little whatever that is. Apparently that's a very I'm into cars myself, but not European cars at this period. So I don't know what it is exactly. But anyway, she's very rich and she offers to buy two of his paintings, and she invites him over to, what was her home? Was that right?
Hmm?
She invites him over to her home. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, or her hotel or where she's staying or something. I think it's maybe one of her homes. She invites him over because she doesn't have the money to pay him in the moment.
Right. And so she kind of gets him to go. She says, "Would you like to go to a party?" And it's gonna basically like ask him out on a date because technically there's no party. It's just gonna be her and him. So
Right.
yeah. And so she's showing an interest in him, but he's not really too interested in her. But decides to do it anyway. But we're jumping ahead a little bit there. But anyway, he goes back. He's going to ride back, and we get this little. This is what I was like. Finally, we get like I wanted to see him dance because I know how he's a very good dancer. I wanted to see him dance, so we finally get like a really good dance scene here. I mean, he was doing some dancing before, but this was more what I'm used to seeing him in. So he did a little tap dance routine with all
It
these
was
little
very impressive.
yes, and the uh, the as far as these that taps these dance scenes are kind of like this really has nothing to do with the movie. I'm just trying to get back to it. There it is right there. That really has nothing to do with the movie. It just wanted it's like they just threw it in there just so they could show them dancing, I guess you could say, right? You say that?
Yeah, it seems like it. But I think I like the dancing scenes more than the plot, honestly.
Yeah, and it looks like I'm glad you said that because it seems like the plot of the movie is kind of weak, and it's almost like they just wanted to have a dancing movie so they could show him dancing and singing, and then intermix some sort of a story in and around it, kind of. So,
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind though. This
so
tap is so impressive.
oh yeah, he's really good. Yeah, and the other movie I saw him in, he was really. I don't remember if he did tap dance in that one, but he was really good in that one too. So, and let's see. And he's really well known for his dancing. That's what I remember. The thing I was waiting for was to see some of his dancing, and it's like they really kept it to a minimum until the very end of the movie. It seemed so. Except for that scene in particular, and that was pretty much about it. So as far as giving any kind of elaborate dance, it seemed like they kept it to almost to a minimum. Sometimes I was expecting to see more of it. So, but so we get to meet. I said this is where he gets to meet the what's her name up here? I can't remember her.
These.
Lise. Yes, thank you. And of course, this man right here on the right, he doesn't have a very prominent role in this. But if you've ever seen the movie, the TV show "I Dream of Jeannie" from the 1960s,
Yeah.
he played Dr. Bellows in that. So
Cool.
and he plays a completely different character because in that one he was always kind of like almost like absent-minded. This one he's not absent-minded at all. He was so, but I don't remember what his character did in this very much. But he was there. He was definitely like a different person altogether, which is interesting. So we get to meet Lise for the first time, and she doesn't like it, and then which in my experience, if a woman kept on saying no, 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 it's like I would probably have already given up by this point, but he was like very persistent. So of course they're supposed to become a couple by the end of the movie anyway. So I guess in a movie you can do whatever you can say whatever you want, but in real life I think most men would have probably given up by that point.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if that happened and then I don't know, he ended up getting my phone number or something, I would have 911 on speed dial. That would be so creepy. That
Well,
is so creepy.
but she gave the wrong phone number. That was the joke. You did catch that, right? The,
Yeah, no, she gave the wrong phone number on purpose, and
right.
then the guy corrected her, and that's how we got the right one.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was a pretty funny scene. Um, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, so she's calling. Yeah, and, and
Ugh,
she's.
no, 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 no. That would have been so weird.
But then again, back in 1951, there wasn't really much of a way to talk to a woman except maybe over the phone or to meet them in person. So there's no other way to actually like you couldn't send them a text message or an email or something. You'd have to actually go. You would have to actually do that. Is you call them. So that's the only way you could really do that. So
That's true. But at the same time, it's like if someone says that they're not interested, then that probably means that they're not interested,
yeah,
you know?
I agree. I agree. So
And then I also thought I wanted to mention I think that this woman, Milo, I think that she greatly overreacted in the car because, like, they were, I guess they were technically on a date sort of thing, but
Mhm.
she only just met him like that day, and she was crying in the car because he talked to another woman
Oh,
and
did
danced
oh,
with her.
oh, I missed that part. Okay, yeah, that's the magic of movie love. Everyone falls in love very very quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like it's like the video game, the one I have on my channel, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. The character CJ can get a girlfriend instantly. So there's one love interest he has, and then that's in the game, and there's 6 additional girlfriends that you can acquire, and you just meet them, and if she likes you, you're instantly girlfriend and boyfriend. And but I will say that as the story progresses, you have to date them and to get them to love you more before you can do other things before it can advance. But it's just like they meet them, all of a sudden they're boyfriend and girlfriend. They like each other a lot. So just like in the movies. So, yeah, I noticed that too. And he goes to meet her. She doesn't like him, but then somehow she decides to go out with him anyway. So and he's all happy. So he's happy because he's got a date with her now, and which I think was kind of strange. So obviously it's because he's pestering her. She actually decided to say yes, which obviously didn't seem right. I mean, realistic. I mean, not right, but realistic. So, uh,
Yeah, that was like, I feel like, again, this is one of those things where she was totally a prop, because I feel like she would, if she was dating someone, she would have said no, you know? I mean, if they're morally upstanding or whatever,
right.
she would have said no. But
So
movie love and movie magic.
so we get to another scene here. We get a little bit more dancing. Though I wouldn't say this was as impressive. I don't know. How did you feel about this? I guess some of it was.
Eh,
I
I didn't
didn't.
like it too much, but it was cool when he danced on a piano. I kind of want to know. I mean, were are pianos that sturdy? I've never stood on top of a piano.
I noticed that too. I was wondering because if you look, let me see if I can find it. It looked like they had it at an angle where you couldn't see what he was standing on, almost. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe there was something there to support it. Was I right? Yeah, there. See what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
So maybe there was something like like that wasn't really a piano because then when they show the other scenes, he's not. They don't actually show him standing on top of the piano. So like so maybe there's that. Maybe it's just a prop of sorts. I don't know, but that's a good question because I was wondering that myself. Because when I was a kid, my mother had a piano, but it wasn't one of those large pianos like that. It was actually more of those compact pianos, and it was pretty strong. So I can imagine being able to stand on the weight of on that one's the one my mother had. It's possible that you could stand on one of those. I would think, but I'm not sure. I can't say with any certainty there. So
yeah. I've only seen like people laying across them to sing, you know, in a dramatic fashion. But I feel like tapping like with such force that would at least scuff the piano up, and that
uh,
would be upsetting, probably for the owner of the piano.
yeah, yeah. So and so we have a little dance thing, and then they go off, and let's see. Oh yeah, so we get to see her and like I said, Henry. I know I'm not pronouncing it right, but you see them together, and they're oh then she sees him, and all of a sudden she really likes him for some reason, really fast, of course, and they go together, and she's immediately what's the word, enthralled? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Enamored?
Enamored. Thank you. That's what I'm thinking. Thank you. And they get to know each other. They spend time together, and as the story goes along, she eventually says he loves her, and she apparently loves him too, and which was really really fast, of course. Oh, we have another scene right here, but this is Henry. We could see him perform. This is what he does as a career because he was like some sort of famous dancer or singer, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, his voice is incredible.
Mhm. And so he comes here, and I like the staircase scene. This is actually pretty good. I liked how the stairs lit up. I was wondering every time he stepped on it, like it would light up. I assume someone was standing off camera, like matching his footsteps with the stair, so it'd match up everything. So it looked
Yeah,
pretty.
it was so cool. I love that. I mean, the effort that they put into all the dances and stuff, it was really impressive.
Yeah. And like I said before, I wanted to see more of Gene Kelly, but his was pretty good too. So, and we come
That's
here.
true. We're already so far through the movie, and there's only been two dance scene, three, including the one that just happened on the river side with Lise.
Right.
Two and a half, really, with Gene Kelly.
Right. Right. And so it's not, yeah, it's very limited. So I agree, yeah, like, I think you might agree with this. The story, I think we said this. I mean, it was very, story is just kind of weak.
Yeah.
So, and so it's because she's like you said, like a prop to be used as a love interest, and so we don't learn anything about her. Oh, we have this scene too with him on the piano. I'm not sure who this guy was in real life. Is he? Let's see, because he was. What's his name? Was this Adam Cook? Is that the guy?
Yeah.
In real life, was he a? I'll bring up here. I'll bring up so we can see this as well. Here we go. So, hold on. You're able to see that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, uh, just reading through this. He was okay. Okay, he's got it. Okay, see, music. So yeah, he's whatever he is, he's definitely into music. So, that's probably why they brought him on board. So it was like Gene Kelly obviously being the primary focus, and the other two, the guy was a singer, so he was the musician, I guess you could say. So it was the three different kinds of talents: dancing, music, and singing all together. So he would be the musician in this. So,
I do like that. I like how they did that. It was very cool.
yeah. So we have Desenhorst 3.0 saying hello again. Hello, Desenhorst. Glad to see you back. And let's see. So we have the scene, and he basically, we assume that in his mind here, he's seeing himself playing all the different parts. So he's the conductor, he's the pianist, he's the violin, all the violinists. Of course, they kind of make these people kind of dark, so you can't tell that's not him. So, and after that's done, goes out. Uh, didn't they say that he's didn't Gene Kelly's character say that he was a concert pianist, but he'd never been at a concert or something like that? There was a line
Gene
where
Kelly, yeah, Gene Kelly said that, or in the movie, what was his name in the movie?
uh, I'll bring it back up here. Jerry Mulligan.
There we go. Jerry Mulligan said to Milo that Adam was um, a concert pianist, and she said she had never heard him in any concerts, or she had never heard of him before, and he said that's because he doesn't play any concerts or something like that.
Yeah, and I was like, wait a minute, didn't we just see him in that scene there? So that kind of threw me
I think
off.
it was just in his head.
Okay, that would make more sense then. Okay, the whole scene. Okay, gotcha. So, um, so this is what was that? They were? I don't remember what they were talking about here. If there's any significance.
She brought him there and said that it was his new studio, and he, I guess at this time, women aren't supposed to have money and aren't supposed to give money to people, and so he's uncomfortable with her paying for everything for him, even though it's greatly, helping his career. And so he's like, but how am I, I can't afford to be here, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, why don't you just pay me back in 3 months? That's when your exhibition is going to be. And he was like, you can't rush me. I can't do it that fast. And then she's like, well, it'll take a lot of hard work, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of what I got from it. And so he then agreed eventually. And he said, basically, fine, I'll do it.
Okay, okay. I'm glad you pointed that out because that makes more sense there. So, okay, and so you see him setting up to paint. How accurate would this be? Would you? I mean, have you ever done this kind of painting? Does this look pretty accurate? It looks pretty accurate to me.
Sort of. I feel like with faces, it kind of depends on the artist. With a face, I would prefer to set up, oh, I forget what it's called, but there are like lines that you can draw to make sure everything is proportionate. And same thing with perspective paintings. I would personally have some faint lines that I could see that would help me with the perspective of what I'm looking at so that I don't paint it so it looks, when you see a painting and it's of a building and it doesn't look quite right, but you can't really, figure out why.
Hmm.
It's probably because the perspective could be a little off and it doesn't look quite exactly how a building should look. And sometimes, people play with perspective to make buildings look, or, whatever they're painting, a room look really, really weird, but it's a room. But sometimes it happens on accident, and that's when paintings look kind of bad.
Okay. Okay.
Mine
So
usually look bad if I'm trying to make, paint like a building. I'm not very good at it. Too many straight lines.
so basically, what you're saying is you do an outline, then paint in within those lines. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But again, there are different, styles of artist. Now, I will say this. It's very rare that an artist, in my experience, that an artist is good at faces and landscapes, like, and all the realistic stuff. Usually it's kind of like you're just good. I mean, unless they're older and they've been practicing for their whole lives, usually it's like you're just good at one specific style of art. And you can kind of expand on that as you grow as an artist. But it would just be a surprise to see someone be able to paint buildings and faces with the same quality.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay. That's, so it's another movie thing, so to speak. not not being too realistic, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And like Michelangelo could do it, but that's because it was Michelangelo. Like super geniuses, maybe. But
I gotcha. So so this as the story goes, they get more happier. They're happy to see each other. They're now apparently in love with each other, and so but she has to be careful because she doesn't want him to know that she's actually um, engaged to be married to Henry, and then the first person to find out is Oscar. What's his name? Was it Oscar? I'm sorry, I forgot already. That's the actor's name, I was thinking.
Adam?
Adam, thank you.
Yeah.
Adam finds out first that the two of them. He mentions her.
Her name.
Yeah, I forgot Gene Kelly's character's name, but yeah,
Oh.
Gene Kelly says he mentions her name, and then Adam goes, "Oh," and you can look the look on his face is like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh my goodness," he knows what's going on now. So he's the first one to catch on. So he's like, and so talking, and the Henry comes in, so the three of them are now. So Adam knows, but the other two don't know yet. So we're still moving on, and this
And
is go ahead.
this part was kind of funny because he starts by ordering a brandy, and then he gets another one when the other guy comes, and then he pulls out another cigarette, and then he keeps putting the cigarettes out, drinking some coffee, drinking the brandy, smoking the cigarettes, lighting the cigarettes. I thought that would have been, people probably would have laughed at that pretty hard back in the 50s, I think.
Oh, I'm glad you put. I didn't catch that, so I was. So thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, that makes sense because he was just so nervous as to what was going to happen with these two. So,
Yeah.
uh, so we go on here. Uh, another thing. Yeah, they're both singing about the same girl, but they don't know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're happy, and they go on. So he sees her. She says, "I." He says, "I love you." He finally says, "I love you," and she says, "Okay, that's nice, but I'm getting married." And so his heart's broken. He walks away, and as he's walking away, she looks at him and says, "I love you," and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, okay, whatever." So he's all sad. So he goes to see her because he's, I guess, heartbroken, and he just wants to be with somebody regardless. It doesn't matter at this point to him. He just wants to be with somebody because he feels so bad. So
Yeah. Now, in this scene, I wanted to point out, look at how he's gripping her arm. That would be so painful. That looks
oh
very painful to me.
oh yeah.
I I like I feel like in a lot of movies where like a guy, takes a girl by the shoulders, he does that. I would just be like in pain. That looks so painful.
the It's probably done for effect. And the you ever heard the expression that pain is temporary, film is forever?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of
So,
like Beauty is Pain.
okay. Yeah, so the director might have been in pain. Like so it's there with the director is like, no, don't worry, the pain will go away. Don't worry. We'll just have the scene. It'll look good on film. So
Probably.
I didn't even catch that, but that's funny. Um, so let me where's my mouse? Okay, here we go. So he wants to go out with her. So they end up going out to this whatever this is. So
Yeah,
and
I was watching that. Sorry to interrupt. I was watching that. I would have had a panic attack at that place. Ugh, it would have been awful. All those people screaming in such contrasting, well, the most contrasting colors, and touching everyone and jumping off the balcony.
oh yeah, I know. That was pretty dangerous too because they're catching them. Even Gene Kelly catches a woman falling off. I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty dangerous. I mean, it looked like a hard floor. Maybe there was something soft below, but if he missed or just dropped her a little bit, that would be pretty painful. So
Yeah, I feel like even being caught would be painful because it's still such a high fall, and even though you're being caught, it's like all all your weight is falling on just two arms. That would be so painful.
I actually I got it. You're right. I think have you ever heard of the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yes.
I went to I used to go to a lot, and some guy picked up a woman one time. I don't know who the woman was, but he picked her up by like holding her like that. See where they're like when they're catching them.
Yeah.
So and he walked over to me and he tossed her in the air, and I had to catch her.
Oh no.
I caught her, but it was pretty heavy. You're right. It was pretty, yeah. So luckily nothing happened, but yeah, that was only just a simple toss. So you're right. The weight would be that would be very heavy at that very, that's pretty impressive that they were actually able to catch them. I wonder if anyone actually got hurt when they did that. So,
Probably. That was terrifying.
and I never found out who the woman was, but I put her down right after that. So, anyway, so the meeting. This is the scene where he pretends like the two of them pretend they don't know each other. But as the scene goes on, the what's her name? I forget her name now again.
Milo?
But thank you, Milo. Is it Milo or Milo?
I think it's Milo.
Milo. So she she catches on. She knows that I'll just call him Gene. That Gene Kelly is in love with her. So he knows that. Or he actually admits to that. So she says she doesn't say. I'm sorry. She doesn't know he's in love, but she recognizes him, and that's when he says that he's in love with her. That's what it was. So,
Yeah.
and so she realizes that, and she got disappointed. Did she get disappointed here? I forget.
She said, I need to get some champagne. So I think so.
Okay.
And then I think that's the last we hear from her.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. I was trying to bring up my my. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and then as it goes on, we see we have the scene where there she walks away. Jerry, that's what it was. I'm looking at my sheet again. Jerry and Elise see each other on the balcony, and they discuss. She said, "Is this the scene where she says?" He said, that she says something about how Paris will change and implying that he'll forget her at one point. And he says, no, Paris never changes. He'll always remember her. And she says, I wish I could have you in my arms right now because they're obviously supposed to be very much in love. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she walks away. And she walks away, we get to see that off in the distance was Henry, who was actually listening to the whole conversation. So, and I threw me off for a second there because I didn't realize it was Henry at first. So I had to replay this scene. Here he is right here. So he was standing in the corner. I thought maybe it was like the other scene where the what's his name, Adam. I thought maybe this was going to be another scene where they doubled up and maybe it was going to be another Jerry character. And I realized, oh, this is actually Henry. And I thought maybe there was going to be some sort of duality thing playing, but no, it was just a simple. He was just listening on the whole thing. So. And so he knows.
He didn't seem too angry.
No, because I assume because maybe he's not really supposed to be in love with her anyway. So.
Right.
And then we go to this is where we finally get a nice long dance scene with Gene Kelly, what I was waiting for all along. and no dialogue at all that I remember.
It
Just
was so cool.
yeah, and he gets basically him. It's done in such an emotional way that you actually start to feel for him. He does it very well because he's
Yeah.
going because he's losing her, and you start to feel sad for him. And
I
go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, what is your interpretation of all the scenes that he goes over in his head?
Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't really think of that. I just thought they were put together for just to have a nice dance scene. I know it's I don't know if you saw in the opening credits, but Gene Kelly actually choreographed all these dance scenes as well.
Yeah, I did notice. I was impressed.
What would you say? What would answering the question you just asked me?
I think maybe, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I didn't look it up, but I think maybe it was a combination of, I think it was like, you know how when you remember something, sometimes your memory makes it more intense than it really was,
Hmm.
especially when you're in love with someone, sometimes your mind can enhance your memories and kind of make them better or more dramatic than they really were in real life. I think that might be what's going on. I think maybe he's like replaying all these memories because in the scene before he said that Paris never lets you forget, right? And I think he's looking down at Paris or something like that and he's remembering all these things that happened or all these feelings that he has for Lise or he's supposed to have for Lise, even though I don't think he has them in real life, but whatever.
Right.
All these feelings that he's supposed to have, I think he's kind of playing them out in his mind and he's remembering how happy he feels when he's with her. And then at I think it's after this scene, there's like all the fun that they have together. And then at this scene, it's like how intense the feelings are. And then every now and then they have to part, and those scenes are always very dramatic. And the colors become blue, and the smoke and all that, gets more intense and all that stuff. And I think that's like to show how hard it is to leave each other and stuff like that. So I think that's what it was.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a good interpretation. Okay. That makes actually I agree. I'll agree with that. So to answer your question, I'll agree with what you just said. So
Okay. I thought it was so cool how they did the fountain too. That's so impressive how they did that, where it looks like it's kind of, I mean, it looks like it's obviously supposed to be water, but the smoke, it's so cool.
yeah. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, the
I didn't
lighting was very dramatic.
yeah. Yeah. So we go up here. I'm trying to go to okay, so we have Morris dancing here. Now this was interesting. What was
I
this
was
part?
confused at that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you could explain that one. So, okay. So,
I mean,
because it just goes into this scene where like they have an artist rendering of that, like this Abraham Lincoln type character comes up and it's like it's on the back of it and it just goes to that and I was like, what happened there? So that kind of threw me off a little bit. So,
yeah, no idea. I mean, maybe again, this might be just like an enhanced version of his memory of what's been going on or to represent his feelings for her or something like that. I don't know what Abraham Lincoln has to do with his memory or his feelings, but maybe they just wanted Abe Lincoln in there.
yeah. So, and it comes over here. Oh, there she is again. And this is the final scene where he's in love with her and he's the bros representing her. He comes out of it and there's no more dialogue at all from this point forward, from basically that entire dance scene all the way to the end. Maybe she says something. Maybe she says his name or something. I forget. But she pulls up. Henry lets her out of the car, but they gave a kiss, which kind of threw me off. You seen that?
Wait, where?
Henry kisses her when she gets out of the car.
Yeah, I remember I was like, is he saying is this implying polyamory? Or are they all three of them are gonna get together? I don't think that would happen in 1951 in a movie, but that's what I see
Yeah,
in front of me. That's what I
yeah,
think is going on.
yeah. So basically, I guess it's supposed to be a goodbye kiss of some sort.
That's weird.
Yeah.
He knew her
I
when
would,
she was 14. That is weird.
oh yeah. I guess if it was done more appropriately, it might just be a nice goodbye hug.
Yeah.
So she comes up and see Jerry Mulligan is happy, and you see them they're hugging, and they go off, and you assume that they live happily ever after. So, which, like I said, is very weak. This whole thing is very weak right
Yeah.
here. But the dance scene before that was actually done very well. That was very emotional. But this
It
part
was
is just
so cool. The dancing and the costumes and the colors and the lights, all of it, so cool. I don't even care about the story. It's awesome.
so this. We're at the end. How would you overall rate this movie then?
Well, let's. I would you want to split this into two ratings, like the dancing and the actual plot?
Yeah.
The dancing, I would definitely give a 9.5 out of 10. The plot, I would probably give a 4.5 out of 10. Maybe a 5. Maybe a 5 out of 10.
Okay. That's and that's kind of the same. It's like the equating this to another musical type movie would be the Blues Brothers 2000, which was the sequel to the original Blues Brothers. The plot and the story in that is horrendously bad, but the music isn't too bad in that one. So I would it's I'm equating that to that movie to this movie because in a similar way, it's like if you enjoy the music, you might enjoy that, but other than that, the story was horrendous. It was awful. So I would say, but this one, I would say this wasn't horrendous because it was at least easy to follow. That one was just bad. So I would agree with you. I'll give it more like a 6 for the story, and yeah, I'll give it a 9. Like you said, a really high score, like a 9 for the dancing for sure.
I'll change my plot score to 6 as well. Now that you split, I agree. I agree. Evening it out to like a 7, or maybe yeah, like a 7.5 ish out of 10.
Yeah. So basically, if you're watching this, it's good. It's fun to watch for the dancing because it's done very well. And of course, Gene Kelly. I've only seen this movie in Xanadu, but I've also seen him dance in general, and I always thought he was very impressive. He was very very talented dancer. So it's always fun to see, in my opinion, to see him dance. So, as far as his acting, how would you rate his acting in this?
I think it was I think it was pretty good. I wouldn't say that it was life changing, but the plot wasn't really deep. So
Okay, I would say that in Xanadu, the only other movie I saw him in, he played pretty much the exact same way. So he's not really that much different uh, in this movie versus that movie. So I would say it's not. It's I don't know. Maybe it's just a weak story, but he doesn't come across as in this movie as being very the character not very memorable. It's his dancing overall. So
that's fair.
all right. So anything else you'd like to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So yeah, I overall I would say if you're a Gene Kelly fan, I'm not a huge Gene Kelly fan. I appreciate his dancing. So if you're a mild fan like I am or a big fan, definitely this is something you want to watch for sure. Other than that, and the other two people since I don't know them well enough. If you enjoy who they are, they're the guy who played Adam, Oscar Levant, I guess. If you enjoy his musical style, you might know who he is. And the other guy who played Henry, was it Georges? I'm looking at the name on here, but whoever his name is, I don't want to mispronounce it. If you enjoy his singing, and maybe I don't know how popular the other two people were in real life, if they were well known like Gene Kelly was or not. But if you enjoyed that, you might enjoy that part of it as well. But other than that, I don't think like both of us said, but this story is just very weak. So it's not for the story. Just for those scenes alone would be enough. In fact, you could
Right.
probably skip the whole story and just watch those if you wanted to.
That's true.
Just jump ahead and just watch. There's like what the three dance scenes. One with the tap dancing with the kid, the tap dancing on the piano, and then the one at the end was there was another one too. The singing. That's right, the singing and the piano. So that stuff, the piano scenes. So those scenes, yeah, you could just, in my opinion, you could skip everything and just accept those scenes, and you'd probably be happier at that point, I guess. By the end, you'd be like, yeah, you didn't really miss very much. So, but
I agree.
okay, so yeah, we both would recommend it in part in some way. So, okay. So let me bring up our question from earlier. This thing looks like we got a so far pretty decent response. 113 votes so far, and we are. What would you ever renovate a home? It said I would make small improvements, but nothing extensive. Over half at 54%. Let me see if we got any comments so far. Nope. 34%. I would renovate my own home. A tie with 6%. I would renovate to sell after, and I wouldn't renovate a home. So, we got. So, how do you feel about that so far?
That makes sense. That was the 54% one was my answer as well. But I know that a lot of people, I feel like it's becoming a trend to renovate homes and sell them. And I feel like maybe not a lot of people, but some people kind of see it as a quote unquote get rich quick scheme because you can buy a home for cheap and renovate it and then sell it for way more. But I'm not sure. I feel like it would have been a little bit more with I would renovate to sell after. With it just seems like a trend right now. Maybe that's just in America though.
Okay. I didn't know there was like a thing going on at this time. That's interesting. Okay, I would definitely. I agree. I would pick the same one you did. So I'm not. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't go all out, but I might do some minor things.
Right. I mean, I guess if I was rich, I would probably want to make a home with more green design where it would be a little more eco-friendly because I know there's a certain way that you can do it for each like area that like it depends on what environment you're in, what part of the country or whatever. But I would also I've experienced this in a home before, but one person that I think it was one of my dad's friends had heated tile floors, and it was very nice. And it didn't take up too much energy or anything because I think it was just the heated water that the house was already used. I don't know. My dad explained it. He's an engineer. He explained it, and I forgot what he said. But it wasn't like it's not too wasteful, and it actually kind of uses water that would have been wasted anyway. That was already hot. So that's kind of something I would do. But I'm not rich, so.
So if you would that include making the house more solar?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on where I am. I guess if I was rich, I would want to live probably in Monterey Bay, California, and that does not get as much sun especially in like the fall winter months. It's very foggy, and a bit like misty and a little bit gloomy, but I like it.
Where is that? I know I've heard of the name. Where is that? Closer to San Francisco, or what part of California is that near?
Yeah, it's like the bay below San Francisco Bay. It's like a smaller, I guess, bay or lesser known bay. It's right near Pebble Beach. It's directly above Pebble Beach.
Okay. All right. So you were going to say something. I kind of cut you off there. Were you going to add something else?
I don't think so. I just don't know what kind of green solutions that area would have. Probably something with, I don't know, water maybe.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. There's also, like you could type in the words "off the grid." You ever heard of that? Which would help you with that as well. So, off the grid is people who buy homes and they live out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no power companies, no nothing, so they have to supply everything themselves.
Ooh.
You're off the grid, so to speak. So you have to. So that would be if you typed in a search for that, you could probably find things that might be kind of helpful for you. You're trying to live in what you refer to as a greenhouse. So not an actual greenhouse, of course. So, and now, of course, actually, you could have a greenhouse effect. Bring that up. So to help you warm if it was a cold area, I don't know. I assume I'm just making a guess on that. That might be something you could do to help warm the house up. But then again, that would only work during the daytime unless you could somehow preserve that heat. I don't know. I'm just throwing things in there. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Green design is hard. There's like a lot of different things that you have to think about. I remember learning about it in most of my environmental science classes. It's like very complicated. So yeah, but if I was rich, I'd be able to hire someone to do that. So.
All righty. Well, thanks everybody for participating. We'll come back to this on the next show. Do you have an idea for what we should watch? Let our viewers know, or what we could do our next show?
Well, I was thinking we could either do Xanadu or Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain is like his most popular one.
Okay.
But Xanadu, did you like it?
Yeah, Xanadu's. Yeah, I like Xanadu a lot. Would you like to do that?
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then maybe the week after we could do Singing in the Rain.
okay. Okay.
Gene Kelly marathon sorts.
So Xanadu, just to make sure it's spelled with an X, not a Z. So that's Xanadu is starring. Here we go. Olivia Newton-John. So here's the image for it right there. So, and Gene Kelly, you can see Gene Kelly right there in his seat right there. So, yeah, and I won't give too much away, but you can see basically it's very much a product of its time, and you'll see what I'm talking about while watching it. The flashy lights and everything, very much very appropriate for the era that it came out, I would say. So
that's fun. Okay.
cool. All right, everybody. So thanks for watching. And if you'd like to help support what we're doing, you can always there's an affiliate link for NordVPN in the description below. If you purchase that, that would help fund what we're doing. And anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye, Olivia?
Thank you for listening, and have a good one.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.